Hi, what is up guys, Control here. Today's video is going to be on Gangplank with the Thresh. So the idea that I wanted to jam with right away, like I was talking about yesterday in my patch review, was just playing with the Dreadway. I love these battleship cards and I'm so happy that it got buffed to 9 mana. It did lose 2 health in the process, which makes it a lot squishier, but I do think that the card is still pretty freaking good. And in the deck that we used it, I actually found that it was still good with one of the broken combos that you guys are probably used to seeing quite a bit, albeit without concurrent timelines. So without further ado, let's check that out. Kind of just built this from the ground up as sort of like a keg control deck. I'll skip right to the very end though. We have triple Dreadway. This is, I wanted to play with 3 and 1 Ledros. I started with 2 Ledroses. I found that when I was queuing into aggro, it was a little bit bad to have 2. But I mean, it's still playable. It's just I decided to drop 1 for, I believe, a miscall. Might have been a Rekindler, which I don't think is actually that great, but it was fun to kind of try out a little bit. Anyway, so the combo is you basically just play Dreadway, you get another Gangplank, and you can win with that, or you can kind of just go ahead and win with Dreadway plus Ledros, which I found happened a lot. And if that did not work, so you're playing against Hargon, they hush you, or your attack gets denied, or sorry, the skill gets denied, something like that, right? You can go ahead and just play Atrocity. So this deck kind of just functions in a similar fashion to most SI control decks. It's really nothing fancy or new, right? In that sense, where you kind of just play big things. You have like your nice control early game package with a lot of removal spells, some decent solid units early to kind of help your champions work, and in this case it's going to be Thresh scaling. Big one here being the Monkey Idol, because it does end up scaling Thresh while also flipping GP with the last part that's really core to this deck. And then you kind of just have your ways to deal X amount of damage, get them below say 10 or so, and then Atrocity sort of finishes them off, which I think is very core and common. So I would say, cycle between 1 and 2 Ledroses depending whether or not you're playing against aggro or control. If you're queuing into a lot of slower decks, like Let's Trundle, for example, 2 Ledroses is going to be really good. So I'd recommend doing that. I do think Dreadway as a 3-of can be a little bit excessive. I don't think this card is as core as, say, Leviathan and Leviathan Swain, where if you have those 2, you just auto-win. With GP Dreadway, you kind of auto-win, but you don't have a very good defense, I guess, whereas Swain Leviathan gives you that defensive option where you stun their board. So I think you could run 2 of these, like maybe even go 2 Dreadway, 2 Ledros, for example, but they are still quite good. I like the double Vengeance. I think that's nice as far as the number goes, queued into a fair amount of like Demacia, Shurima, people trying to Renekton, that type of stuff. And I think that just being able to just remove core champions like that you see, like these big mid-sized ones, is kind of nice, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You slot that down and say, hey, goodbye to your Sejuani, Renekton, whatever, insert the name of that champion there. It kind of buys you some time to get to the Dreadway Ledros, which is where you want to be. So I think it's good as a 2-of. Rekindler, pretty situational. I don't think this is really super necessary and you can't cut it. Atrocity, again, broken card. I'm honestly kind of surprised this card hasn't been nerfed or changed myself. I think it's a little bit overpowered and one that is definitely Shadow Isles defining. And one of the reasons why these type of, I guess, control decks that kind of function as sort of combo decks in the end can win. Combo just being Atrocity. Double Whale is fine. Again, you can move that up to 3 if you're coming into a lot of aggro, like Jinx Drave and stuff. Thresh is a 3-of, I think is good. Just pulls the Gangplank, happen fairly often. And, with the early game cards we do run, being the Kegs that do trigger the Thresh and the Monkey Idol, it makes it pretty easy to flip them. That being said, you don't need to do that to win. It's just kind of a nice tool to have there, and a nice tool to deal with, lower cost champions that are frustrating to deal with, like say, I don't know, TF or like a MF, or even say like a Lucian. Gangplank, core card of the deck, just an easy win con to have. The attack here is pretty ridiculous. If you pull him from Thresh and he's not flipped, and then during that attack he does flip, you will not get the attack bonus from the leveled up Gangplank, as it is a skill, which is something that I learned a long time ago but forgot and relearned today. Pretty important. So if you do have an unflipped Gangplank, you pull him, he flips right away. You need to basically be attacking with him while he's flipped to get the skill to go off. So keep that in mind when you're playing him. Petty Officer is not the best card in the world. It is a card that can offer fodder for Thresh and Kegs to empower your spells. So in general, it's pretty good just for that reason. But after it's become a 3-1 again, it's not super OP or anything. 3-2 though is gross. Monkey Idol, again, core card to the deck. I think it's really strong. One that I wouldn't recommend running any less than 3-of. I think it's really bonkers in here. And yeah, it's a card that your opponent just has to remove. And if they don't, you're going to be pretty happy. Miscall, I think this is a 1-of kind of just for tech. I found this to be pretty good to keep just basically my better units alive. I had at one game keep a Monkey Idol alive, which allowed us to kind of get the Gangplank flip going on, and we won that way. But Dreadway is kind of the big one. If you do have 3 spell mana on turn 8, you can't just like rip that to keep it alive, because as a 4/6 is not impossible to clear, right? It's one that I think will get cleared relatively often, and you know, even if you're looking at like the Thresh or Gangplank, missed calls of 1-of can be pretty good for that. That being said, it can be more of a dead card, and again is one that you want not so much against the faster decks. It is kind of bad there. And we do have a lot of bad cards to res with this as well, so if it's not a single target card dying, it is kind of trash, so you know, pretty cuttable alongside like the Rekindler, I would say. Mickey Rain's a 2-of. I think it's a 3-cost card. This one is not super insane, but with Kegs, it ends up being pretty good. I'd say that I prefer other options as far as control tools go, like Whale that heals you a little bit. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with running this with as many Kegs as we have. I think it is still a decent card, but a frustrating one sometimes. Yeah, when you lose the flips on what rolls, it can be kind of annoying. But that's card games. RNG does end up playing a factor, right? Next up, Black Spear. I actually really like this card as a 2-of. I think it's a super, super nice single target removal card, just for frustrating early game threats / champions that you would have problems dealing with otherwise. This card being 3 mana, deal 4 damage, and just activating so often in this deck with all the Kegs just getting popped easily, and you know, the Powder Monkeys. I think it's just a very safe home for it, and I think that it does a very good job at just dealing with, again, these strong early game threats that they're kind of going to just say, hey, you're dying, you're not going to be able to play the game. This card kind of just says, no, I am going to play the game, which is nice. Feast, pretty self-explanatory. I think this card is very, very strong. It's decent, gives you a token, remove something, and some healing. Glimpse, I think I played this card once in like the 9 or 10 games I played. I almost never drew it, which was kind of weird. It's actually quite an anomaly. Overall, still a fine card, though. It can just give you that Thresh activation if you need it early. And, you know, give you cards as well. I mean, we do have quite a bit of top end, so it's not like you're never going to have any late game. But, you know, it can help get you there, deny some, I guess, spell effects from your opponents. I don't think this needs to be a 3-of by any means. I didn't really have any drawn, and I didn't necessarily miss it while I was playing. So you can move this down to like a 1 or even 2-of if you want, up to you. Deckhand Core, I'd say 2 mana 2/2 plus Keg, very, very good. And Aristocrat, pretty solid. You could also opt to run the other 1-drop. I think you do want 1, though. Being Jagged Butcher. This one is also fine if you want a 2/2 instead of a 1/1. Kind of just lean towards a hapless Aristocrat because you get 2 tokens, just a little bit better for the Thresh. That's kind of my logic there. That's overall the deck. And one thing you could also run is parlays, I think, if you're looking for Gangplank flip more often. That being said, I found that, you know, having Gangplank flipped ASAP wasn't really the biggest deal ever. And I mean, the champions are nice, but a lot of times the game's just one with like Dreadway plus random stuff. You know, whether that's just Atrocity, Ledros, or just an overwhelmingly large board. I found that was kind of the way that I was winning games. So, you know, Parlay, while it's fine, I don't think it's the best removal card. It being slow is a little bit bad, so I personally didn't really think that I needed it. That being said, I did play a couple after I pulled a Dreadway and had a Gangplank on board. But that's basically the only case where I would do it. That's about it. Overall, I'd say the deck's pretty good. I don't think it's optimized by any means. Again, like we were talking about, there's like probably 3 to 5 cards that you can kind of just flip or flop around. And I don't think this is necessarily the best deck in the entire game, but I do think it's one that's viable that you can climb with and have a pretty good time playing the buffed Dreadway. And I'll tell you, man, it is super satisfying to just drop Dreadway on 8 and have a Ledros in hand for 9. It was honestly a pretty stupid combo, and one that felt more fair to me when it's not just coming from, you know, bullshit 1 mana card that kind of just says, I'm going to spawn a random card that just wins you the game. So I'd say give the deck a spin if you're interested. Code will be in the description. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great day. Sin Zoe. Okay. Probably my bet for best deck. Or what I would consider best deck now. Just going to start with the Idol. Feast is really good just for dealing with the Zoe, especially because we're on odds. Slam it on turn 1, turn 2. Just drop top this. Would be nice. That's a combo. Fortunately, it's Lee Sin. You actually die before you even get to this sometimes. It's okay, though. It's good to survive the attack on 8, and then you know, on 9 we can just drop this, and then we'll get denied, but it'll still be something. And something is better than nothing, I think. Zenith Blade. Okay. Sign me up. It's honestly just good cycling. Makes my chip damage kind of not matter either. Which I'm personally not super concerned with either anyways. But it is still something. Okay. I'll pass.
I bear a message from... Oh, here's what's that?
He needs to play stuff to beat me. I kind of just gotta sit here and then wait for the Dreadway Ledros with the current situation that we're in. Sure. That is fine. All is good in the world.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
I'm gonna go Keg make it rain or just make it rain? Just make it rain. Oh man. One of those. Okay. Not good to know that Notify would have happened anyways.
What is gained when you return?
It's always funny. Okay, Spirit can spear the Zoe. I don't really need this Keg for any reason. I can play this and then do the Spirit in combat. Should be fine. Does anyone remember when Lee Sin got buffed to 4 mana? It's kind of insane. I was gonna say good times, but I don't know if you'd really call those good times. They were times. I really liked him at 6. I don't know what it is. I find that I really enjoy underplayed champions. There's just more room to experiment, I think, where they're just like not like, hey, I'm the best in this deck and there's like no other real way to play me that's good. There's a fan with like the Overwhelm Lee Sin. I played that a bunch and actually had a ton of success with it during the period of time when I did play it. I don't even think playing Seer is good. It's a pass angle, I think. So to answer this combo, by the way, he has so many cards. Like Hush is a big one. Deny is a big one as well. There's 2 of the ones that will end up doing quite a bit. That's fine. I think I will just slap this down now.
I rarely forget. I never forgive.
So now that I commit mana, he can just play Lee Sin free now. It's the only problem with this play. Pass can't. I guess the only thing he's missing is gems. Which kind of is a pretty big miss, actually. So can't. Let's drop top the Dreadway real quick. Say hello. How are you, my friend? Again, I'm almost certain that the letters won't win me the game right away. Why is it passing? Actually, not sure. But we still drop it and just say hello. Balance combo. Please work. And we're going to see like a Hush or something like that. So we do 10. It's fine. Better than nothing. And yeah, we still do damage. So no real complaints. Atrocity next round still will be a thing. I don't even know if you'd really call this deck Keg Control. Feels like you do use the Kegs early game sometimes. But I feel like they're just really not super strong. I haven't played a Vengeance. I haven't played an Atrocity. It's a Make It Rain, Black Spear. Feast maybe? Did I play Feast? The Spider, so yeah, I did. So one of those, what do you think? None of which are good. Sketcher for Silence for the Dreadway. I think the fact that you can silence a big like champion, or big, sorry, unit like Dreadway or Ledros with just a 1 mana spell is a little bit strong. Maybe, you know, edging towards the imbalance kind of side of things. I feel like this pass is likely going to be stronger for us. Our units won't be damaged. You can block better. Yeah. Cascade. So he's in dire need of something to just kind of help him out here. Probably a Deny. Song Lee helps a lot.
Pleasure to see you, master.
Into Sing Lee, what can we do? He's no mana. Our attack's actually kind of okay now. But everything gets damaged. First order of business would be, I guess, Vengeancing the Lee Sin. Having him deny it, and then I play Atrocity to kill him, I think, is the plan. In that case, I would probably want to get my 1 damage in. But he's going to heal with the Sparklefly, so it won't even matter, I guess. It's passive ink. Assuming there's like a Hush as well, right? Basically, a lot of assumptions just need to be made, I think, here. This happens, goes to 3. Unfortunately, he has mana for a deny and then a hush on the Dreadway on top of all this, so that's kind of the problem here for us. Is that if he can do all of that, we're kind of not in the best spot ever. Cascade, okay, so now he should not have enough mana for that. Okay.
I fight with the dragon's fury.
I feel like it ends up being kind of lame that most SI control decks end up just relying on atrocity a little bit too heavily. But the issue is this is too strong to not rely on it that heavily, I guess. I think that the combo overall is just strong to an extent where you're really just butchering yourself if you decide not to run it. Which kind of sucks. It really does kind of suck. It's 2 mana left. He cannot hush, so I think it should just be lethal. It's a classic 18 to the head. No big deal. Doubling all your damage is kind of nice with Dreadway. And having that curve actually be a thing is sort of really nice. I'm kind of on the fence about going back to 2 as well, as far as Ledroses go. Because we were running 2 initially, swapped to 1. But, you know, it kind of just depends what you're queuing into, whether it's control or aggro, right? Renekton, Garen, Jarvan. So we're going to have some overwhelm stuff happening here. Don't think I keep the GP. Black Spear could be good, I think. So I'm going to keep that, I think. Also, it's game number 3, and I have not kept the Rekindler yet. Or not changed my deck, sorry. To add that in. I wanted to play a Mist Call because I felt like it would be pretty good with Dreadway. I think that's as a 4/6, it's not super unlikely that it gets cleared. Or even just like on a Thresh, just like some higher value target, I think it would be pretty good for. That was my logic.
Just a little farther.
Get me out of here.
Let's see if the health is fine. The challenger here is so frustrating with the Monkey Idol because it just gets clown now. But that's fine. Just open attack, see what he does. Saves the 1, okay. Interesting. Double Ledro Straw, also maybe not the best here. Not 100% sure. But I would say that's really not that great.
We must all do our duty.
More with that.
Okay. That's kind of good. So Monkey Idol dies.
For the glory of Demacia.
Everything dies. Good to know.
We go.
I can miscall the Monkey Idol and then Black Spear the 3/3. Not super opposed to that because I think the card is decent, especially with the Thresh coming out.
Ready, boy?
Keep moving.
Because this is already... I mean, I kind of still just want to Black Spear that over the other cards, to be honest. I think it's just a little bit stronger. The whole like Scout plus Challenging is kind of a good combination of keywords. I don't know if I even want to go 1/1 into 3/3 here. It might just not be what we're looking for. I think just clearing that and taking 6 is probably fine. Obviously we lose the value to monkey blocking, which I think is what he was trying to do. It's fine with me though. Okay, well, we have the combo. We just have to make it to 8 then 9. And dodge some pretty obvious ways to kill this, like the buff Jarvan's to 6/4 now, and not being the big one, I guess. Okay.
Get out of my mind, monster!
I think I just pass. I really don't want to let him have an extra hit with the Jarvan. And hopefully draw like a glimpse or something like that. It's a 2-mana card. Definitely not glimpse though.
We protect these woods as they protect us.
Okay. We'll summon a 1-drop, I think.
All hands on deck!
Kegs kind of not the best when you don't have any units in hands.
We go.
Bonk that shield off real quick.
Before they order.
And pass.
Charge!
Let me just combat with the Garen here. I don't want to block with the Thresh just so he does live. So I do think the attack's pretty relevant, honestly. I think getting the GP is really nice for us. He won't be flipped until after he attacks, assuming that the overwhelm goes off, which is kind of annoying. So we do get the 4 out of 5 with the Powder Monkey. Actually, sorry, I guess we do, because if I attack with Powder Monkey first, then he will flip. So we should be fine, actually. I think a double keg with the Dreadway deckhand if we want, which is nice. Okay, good stuff. I should play this maybe? And then just open, I think.
I've whipped up something special.
The fact that he's going to get rally every round is sort of bad though, because we're not really killing the Garen here. Actually, that's a lie, sorry. So after the flip, we should with the 4 damage here, and then the 3 from the Gangplank. Okay, flip is fine. Still, I mean, we have the barrel, so I think we're still clearing the Garen. He just gets a rally token, which is manageable, I think. As funny as it sounds. You know, assuming nothing crazy happens, I believe it is. The outcome here should be Garen dies, so you have a flip Gangplank. I don't think it's showing the flip Gangplank, but that's what I believe happens. We pull the Gangplank, does not flip yet, this attacks. Maybe I'm wrong. If he flips it during combat, maybe the attack is a skill, so it should actually not work. Okay, so the Garen actually doesn't die then. I just get a flip Gangplank that does damage, but he will not die. Not bad. Yeah, just because it's a skill, that's why that works that way. Not bad on that. Cythria, use this card. So kind of wasted some barrels. Sort of sucks. And I obviously do not have the best blockers either. I will have Dreadway into a parlay next round. Combat's fine. At this point, the Thresh doesn't matter, so you can just clear the Garen. Fine with that. Okay. That is alright. And we do kind of just have lethal next round as well, right? So I'm not super worried about anything right now. The box. The Roddy Rich card, okay. Okay, I can go 4-1 here. Idea being that the parlay just kills.
The ocean herself will fear us.
There's no finer sight.
The attack right away is even just nuts, right? Because if you have Dreadway plus Gangplank on board, the open just does 4, because you get the barrel at the start of the round, and then you kind of just pop off, and 4 damage that you attack through is sort of just, it's not unbeatable, but it's almost unbeatable, right? It's I can just pass back and just play Letters and win. I don't have to attack there. So this is kind of like the concurrent timelines, but obviously you actually have to have both cards to spend mana for it. So you know, just do this. It does enough damage to just win the game. So GG. Ooh. Okay. So not lethal, but I mean, still kind of fine, right? Really not too much to worry about. Yeah, 2 health left. And he has to play something that's going to magically block both of these. Do like another big card and then combat, I think. It's not big enough. Do that. Even just like blocking the Gangplank is very difficult, right? GG. Let's say 2 Ledros. You know, it feels good with the combo for later on, right? But I think it's a little bit too much, maybe. Teemo plus Bilge Water deck. Okay. Thresh with Idol plus Aristocrat's probably fine.
Prepared for anything.
Lady Elise,
That's scary.
where are you?
You'll never know what hit him. You hold this.
Okay, open's basically all we can do. So we got the Dreadway, again, newly buffed, which is really sweet. 4/6 for 1 less mana is a massive deal in my opinion. Might not be that big to everybody, but I think that the fact that it just goes from 8 to 9, like I touched on yesterday, is actually just massive. It really does change a lot. It's gonna block the 2 here. And my card will die, so we can black spray the Teemo if we want. Which I'm gonna say I think that we do is a little bit frustrating to deal with at this moment. So I think the black spray is fine. Don't get to develop a Monkey Idol, but we kind of do want that popping off with the Thresh anyways, so we can't get him flipped and pull the GP. And per usual, when you see Teemo, you kind of want a Teemo to die. So I'm sort of happy with that, and I do think black spray is maybe not the best card in the entire world, but I think after it's changed, this is not bad. 3 mana deal 4 is decent. You notice in Runeterra, there's kind of a distinct lack of ways to deal basically just 4 damage in general. I think 3 is very normal. 1 and 3 are very normal. 2 is a little bit less normal, Mystic Shot being the standard normal one. But usually pings or ways to deal 1 damage are prevalent, and the ways to deal 3 are pretty normal too. 4, a little bit of an odd one out. He's going wide. Okay, so I'm going to expect an open attack here. I don't think we're going to be able to play the Thresh. Unless... that's quite bad for us. This is fast as well, so we can play the Thresh first. And then just develop the Black Spirit, clear off the 5/2 here. It's not like it's looking terrible for us at the moment. I think that it could be better, you know, especially with the idol getting hit here. It's not the best. But I think that we're okay still. He's only doing 4, right? It's more just the fact that there's a lot of shrooms in the deck, and we generally don't have a ton of healing. If you look at it, it's like the Feast, and I would say the Whales, I think. That's about it. So we don't have the best ways to kind of keep our health up. That's 3. Another Dreadway, nice. Okay, I don't really need spell power, so shoot the 1-cost follower here, I think. And we want our Thresh to live for next round. Preferably at least. Not even for next round, the next attack phase, sorry. Also, one thing I did neglect to put in this deck, and I probably will swap after, is I want like 1 or 2 rekindlers, I think. Okay, that's fine. Get the 3-1 here. So I don't really care if he flips or not right now. It doesn't really matter too much for me. Just because the time where I think he's relevant is going to be, you know, on the attack phase. So if he does die here, it kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. So we will have the GP off the Dreadway anyways for 9. Mystic, okay. So it looks like he's going to die. No, he's not actually, sorry. So he should be fine. As he kind of flips off the Scrap Scuttler dying here. Which is actually kind of a big deal. Because now any Thresh that we draw is flipped. This is one of the reasons why like a Rekindler could be good as well, because if my Thresh would just die, I could just replay another one. Obviously in this case, he is alive, which is nice. No complaints there for me. Gangplank is kind of close to. 3 to 5 is really not bad. Ooh, okay. We can just go ahead and draw, I guess. Let's do that. It's no mana left, so it doesn't really matter where I target that. I guess you can say that actually Vile Feast is good to use there, and maybe you should have done that right away. Because I do kind of take 3 now. I could have blocked it, right? Actually, I can still do it. So we're fine still. So Feast of 2/1, so we have the blocker for the 3/2, and fortunately we pick up another Thresh, which is a pretty big deal. So go ahead and slap that down right away. And I believe on the open we'll actually play the Gangplank. Sorry, not the Gangplank, the Dreadway here for the double damage. It's, well, a Gangplank, but you just do this and pull 1. So we still have 1 in the deck, so I'm actually not sure if it'll pull from the deck first or if it's random. I don't remember how this interaction works, because I really have not played with it in a while. If I do this, pull the 3/2 here, he can't block the Dreadway with the 2/1. And yeah, go in for a fair amount of damage. Does go from the deck, it looks like, first, if there are any left, which is nice. We get the one from the deck. Get parlays here for extra damage if we need it. Kind of a lot with the keg. And he drops FF. Nice. So, while it doesn't seem like it's massive, the fact that Dreadway was 8 that game allowed us to kind of just go ahead and win.